Hey, this is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is Wednesday. It is January the 20th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And this was really a very incredible day. You just don't have, I don't remember seeing a whole lot of days like this in my time that I've been trading, and I've sat here in front of this screen for a lot of years, and I just don't remember seeing a day like this. I'm sure we probably had one, but I cannot remember when it was if we did. So I'm going to say this is probably one of the few days we've seen like this, and at least in my time. So we actually traded from the high to the low was about 74 points, and then we actually rallied 74 points, if you can imagine that. I mean, that's 150 points movement in one day. I mean, think about that. If you get part of that going down and part of that going up, you know, fortunes can be made on days like this. Um, you know my thoughts on that though. We don't get greedy because you know when you get greedy, you make mistakes and you end up losing money. But make sure you get your piece of it. I'll leave it at that. So I'm a little better today. My voice is still not 100%. It still kind of comes and goes, but I'm on the mend. Several of you gave me some suggestions and things. I appreciate that. Actually, most of those I've heard about and tried before, but I do appreciate. Um, um, okay, I had a slight interruption. I'm not sure where I was at. I lost my train of thought. But anyway, there are also understand that there are limit moves. There's the CME will put limits to how far the market can fall or in one day. I can't remember if there's limits to the upside in the ES. I don't think we reached any of them. My broker actually sent me a list. Let me see what they were for the on the way down. It was looks like we had to sell off to like 17.3, 17.39 or something. So I don't think we got anywhere close to a limit move in the ES. I mean that's a pretty big move. But anyway, just make sure you're aware of that. If we did move down to a limit area, and you sold right into that limit area, you know you're guaranteeing yourself a loss most likely because until they reopen the market after the trading halt, you can only buy. I believe that's the way it works. I don't think we've ever had a limit move in the ES as long as I've been trading. Not on the day I was trading, while I was trading anyway. So, um, can it happen? You bet it could. What are the odds? Probably slim, but you don't want to, just make sure you know where they are. And if you had a big move like 100 points down, you might better make sure you make yourself aware of where the limits are, just so you don't sell into them or buy into them if it's on the way up. Um, it just would you'd be guaranteeing yourself problems if you didn't know where they were and you sold right into them or bought right into them or whatever. But anyway, they're just designed to keep the market from doing what happens. A lot of times, the market will hit a limit, and then next thing you know, it's going limit up just like this. You see it a lot in some of the commodities. You used to see it a lot in cattle, hogs, corn. I mean, I don't know how much you saw it in corn, but um, some of the commodities, you'd see those limit moves. Um, they're more common than they are in the index equities and things. So, but anyway, I'm wasting time here. I only marked the chart through the sell off today, and there's plenty. I mean, it's just as good on the way back up. But the reason I'm not going to talk about them is I don't have time. I've got to get out of here tonight, and I'm sitting here wasting time. But there's so many trades on the way down that there's plenty of trades, and it's going to be the same thing. There's probably just as many or more on the way back up. So it's just so many that we can't even hardly talk about them. So I'm going to talk about the move to down today through lunchtime, and then I'm going to call it quits because I don't want to talk a whole lot, and I've got to be somewhere tonight too. Um, so I just don't have time to do any more than that. But anyway, you could see the big move down, and There's a two-tiered channel working down here. Earlier this morning, I was trying to work it off the very highs, but I believe this is a spike in a two-tiered channel, and it was a little bit flatter than what I originally had it. Um, we got our first close outside right in here, moved to a new low, and then we rallied from there. So that there's several shorter terms. When I came in, this was looking like it's pretty typical to what you see every day lately. We have a big sell-off or a big rally, and then you from there during the overnight, and from there you kind of go flat for a while. And you can see we kind of went flat for a while before we worked on down after it came off the trend line here. And we did actually push outside it here, but there's no real closes, not enough right here to justify saying, hey, we got to close outside. This thing might reverse. But you had to respect this support here. Notice that you didn't see me buying any of it because the trend line was obvious by the time we bounced down here. But you had to respect this till it got through. But when I came in, we were working up. There, we were in a little trading range. We'd actually traded down and bounced, and we were in a little trading range, and we had a trend line, possible trend line working up. And but we were flat when I came in. Look how we're both sides of the EMA. And the first trade I saw, notice you got this low here. This is a new low, and so you get a failed second entry short. This is really hard to see. Let me back out. I'm sorry. Notice the new low, first entry, second entry. It fails. Look how bullish that bar is. It's pretty close to the closes, but if you look at the highs, which really this probably would have is more like up here. I moved it down when we got those last closes there, but this is more your resistance area right up in here. And you can see when we came back, that was kind of the support area. But I like going long right there because of that failed second entry short. There's enough room to get out before you get to these highs here. So that was a nice chance to go long when you got if you drew your trend line off these first couple of bars, it kind of matched up here. Originally I had this up here, but as we started to turn down sooner, I adjusted a little bit. But nice long there, just good for a scout. Probably no runners on that. Then we pull back, and I was looking for this to come back to the trend line, but it didn't do it. There's actually a little trend line working down here. So you wanted to be careful going long here. It's tempting to go long right here. That's a second entry, and it's tempting. It's a breakout pullback long. There's actually enough reasons right there to probably say if you wanted to be aggressive, you could go long. But I don't like it because there's no break of the little short-term trend line coming down. So we get the break here. You go to first entry short, and even though this didn't break lower, this is it's actually a second entry long coming off the high pullback, first entry pullback, second entry, but it tried to go lower a couple of times there and failed and bounced right off the EMA. So I like going long there. If nothing else, just to see it probably is going to go back up and test these highs. But notice how the EMA is held all the way up there. And then you get the little trap there, and it actually gives you a second entry long, counting off the. Actually, no, you already got your second entry long there, counting off the low. But it really, you could count this as a second entry long because this is basically a double top, and so and you can always count double tops as basically a new high. So first entry pullback. This is a little lower high, so you could count that, but you got to go long right into that resistance there. So I don't like that one. It would have worked, but I think this was the safer entry out of all of them. And then of course it's working down, but you don't have a break of this trend channel yet, so you got to be careful getting long. There's a second entry long here, but again, this is a reversal type pattern. This thing just fell through, comes back. You got a trend line here, so you don't want to go long there. And if you did, you would have got burned. But when it turns up and fails, you can go short right there. And it took this one a minute to work. And this one is close to that low. And that's why I'm always warning against being careful about that. but this is a trap and this is a reversal type pattern. So I liked it, and if you hung on, it worked. I didn't like going short here because it bounced, and now you got a multiple lows across there, and you got to get short right into it. It worked, but I didn't like risking it. I think you're better off to skip that one. And then it bounces. Of course, it comes back up, and this pretty much confirms the trend line. I don't think you want to. Their second entry short is right there. But it's not a very good setup. But when it turns higher and then turns back down, you could have a stop below that bar, or you could even wait on that one to close and put a stop right there. So you could enter that one a couple of different ways, and you might even add on there. And then you get a failed second entry long here, and look at that big bearish bar. Go short there, and when it turns back up, this is really like a double top, so you could also count this as a failed second entry long, but it confirms that trend line. It goes higher and then turns a breakout pullback short too. So there's multiple reasons to enter on this one. And I like adding on there if you're already in. And if you do, the payoff is there because you can ride that all the way down. Then it bounces. And because it kept bouncing down through there, I drew this shorter term trend line in here because we never got back that low again. But I really think it was most of it was due to the support here, and then we got the break. So, but anyway, this right here, it's just too flat. We're back and forth. We're not back to the trend line, even though there's some traps and stuff in there. It's too big a chance of you getting trapped. I think you're better off just to wait and skip that. It's really tempting to buy down here, but you've got this trend line now, and you got to be concerned about it. So I think you don't want to do any buying. I think you're better off to wait and look for a sale, and then finally it comes back. This is like a breakout pullback short from when we broke out of this congestion here. It pulls back, it tests it. It tests that trend line. It gives you a big bearish bar. Just go short right there. And again, it bounces. I don't like entering there because I really thought this should have gone on, taken on off, and when it didn't, it gets a little suspect. But when it pushes down and pulls back up and gives you that failed second entry long, then you can go short there. And again, it's more like a breakout pullback short. So I like that one, and then it's off to the races. So you probably would have scalped out of this one, but you get a chance to get back in, right? I mean, you would have got stopped out on your runners anyway. You would have scalped out and probably got stopped out on your runners, but then you get a chance to re-enter, and you can ride that one. That one doesn't come back. And then we bounce again. You figure it should come back to the trend line, but it doesn't. So you can't, you don't want to be going long, but you got to wait. You really want to wait for it to come back to get short. So that's the reason I don't like that short. But when you get the failed second entry long, I like it going short. And look at that big bearish bar. You know, this is the way it started out every day recently. And if you, just recognize that and get on with it. And what happens is people watch it move, and then they try to get in down here or down here, and it bounces. And somebody actually sent me a chart, and they said that's what happened to them. They got emotional and watched it go, and they kept watching it go, and then they try to get in, and of course they get in right before it bounces again. You got to recognize that you got to get in on the corrections. And most people, most traders that are not really, that don't understand price action, they do just the opposite. They keep selling down here, and then they watch it up here, and by the time they finally get enough nerve or encouragement that it's going lower, it's too late, and then it bounces again. So this thing has been a really strong sell-off, so I didn't like buying anything here. This is the first break of the big channel. Yeah, you could have made some money here, but why risk it? On a trend this big, a sell-off that big, you're going to test this low again. The question is, when are you going to test it? So it's tempting right in here because you got all this resistance up here, but I think you're better off to wait on the close outside to move to the new high, and you get a double chance to enter here because you got the break and a couple legs up to a new high. You got a bearish bar, but you got the break outside of this resistance. Several different reasons. If you draw your trend line on the little correction, you got a break of it in the new high. You can see that you get the close outside the new high, and then it pushes through the EMA, pulls back, turns down real bearish. It's like a little breakout pullback short. It's that little reversal type pattern. Generally, you like to see it close a few more bars below and then pull back. But this is good enough when you know we're going to test. On a sell off this strong, we're going to test that low again after a trend line break. Be crazy, that's when you get a big strong sell off, you're generally going to test the lows again. And so another nice entry where your runners are safe. Then pull back first entry, pull back second entry, another second entry right there. Right off this trend line, it confirms it. Another big move, and runners are safe. Then look what happens right here. Another correction, break, move to a new high, reversal. Even though it's got a little green, it's really bearish, reversal type bar, goes short, takes off. You don't get a runner on this one. It does snap back just enough, depending on how you manage your runners, I should say. But if you're moving your runner to stop, your stops to break even on your runners, you're not going to catch one there. But pretty nice move. And that got us into lunchtime, and as I said, I didn't, we had our break now, moved to a new low, so now you got to be wary of a reversal. And this is what a reversal pattern, notice how it comes up and pushes through, comes back again. Took a little while to get this thing moving this time. Now we're all out to the upside, and you can see these short-term trend lines. There's your push through, your failed second entry short right there, go long. Second entry. You can see stuff is just pretty straightforward. You get your break, a couple legs to a new high, then you get another correction. But now you got a big uptrend going on. You really hadn't confirmed that trend line till here, so you might have considered some of these shorts. Notice failed second entry long right there, your reversal type pattern goes short, that would have been good. But then you bounce off here, you get a second entry right here off that trend line. I'd go long right there. Second entry right here. This one's not a beautiful setup, but probably take it. You get a little trap here for a second entry, counting. You really get the failed second entry short that kind of takes you up. That was a great move there, and I don't know if I would have entered there or not. Oh, it's after 2 o'clock though, so no, we definitely wouldn't enter there. But you can see it would have been a really good day either way, and it was pretty obvious when it did reverse. When you get a move like that above the EMA, something's changed, especially after you've had your break and your new low. You can see all that. Again, 74 points from the high to the low, and 74 points from the low to the high. And we're rallying into the overnight, but that doesn't mean anything because, this thing moves much easier during the overnight than it will during the regular hours because the market's thinner and there's not as much volume. So a lot of times you'll get exaggerated moves in the overnight. It's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. Will the rally continue, or will we just come back up and test these areas and turn down again? Who knows? But as long as oil's affecting a lot of the markets because oil keeps selling off, and we've got such a glut of oil. I doubt we've seen the bottom in oil. I doubt I'm imagining we still got room to sell off on the oil, but and if it keeps selling off, it may continue to affect these other markets. But it's not good right now. But we don't really care which way it goes as long as it's moving. We can make money. So as a day trader, that's mostly what we're interested in. But you hate to see for our economy a big sell-off like this, and it doesn't hurt my feelings that oil is selling off. They've made their money on gasoline here in the U.S. for the last few years. So it's nice going to the pump and being able to fill your tank up for a third of what it used to cost. And but otherwise, you hate to see the stock market sell off just because of what it does to the economy and the amount of money it takes out of people's pockets and things. So I'd prefer to see it rallying, but we'll take it whatever we can get. I'm not going to, you know, one thing about it, it does when it sells off, it moves a lot faster generally than it does when it's going up. But just remember, even in horrible market conditions, when there's strong bear markets, you're going to get rallies like this quite often. That's just part of what it does. Very rarely does it go straight down. And the harder, more volatile it is when it's on the way down, the more volatile it is, and the harder it rallies when it rallies. So you can grab, if you can get just a piece of it going either direction, you can do really well. So just follow the price action, draw your short-term trend lines, listen to them, don't break the rules. When you get a big buy like this, don't try picking tops. And when you get a big sell-off like this, don't try picking bottoms. As long as if you find a strong support like this, you might consider it. But once I realized there's a trend line coming down through here, I wasn't buying anything. It's too risky because you will get trapped, and it doesn't come, it moves fast. And look what happened when it got through here, how fast it moves. And when it reversed, look how fast it moves. You don't want to get caught on the wrong side because you're going to get stopped out in a blink. And if you hang on hoping it comes back, you're just going to lose more money. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Still 20 minutes worth, but there's just so much here. I just don't have time to get through it today. But I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.